I don't even let our cue card guy Wally know where I am until the show starts. He's always trying to get me to invest in his new line of Walmart greeting cards.
Seth, we have cards for every occasion. Birthdays, holidays.
No one wants to invest in this idea.
Why?
The cards are too big.
We provide the envelope.
We will have this conversation later.
Yes, but who really wants to buy greeting cards in an envelope that big, Wally Ferriston? I like Squidina Star in the Patrick Star Show because while she has the same job as Wally Ferriston of chilling by the camera and offering Patrick his cue cards, she doesn't have the same annoying, silly behavior that Wally Ferriston has. She's a lot more delightful and sweet, yet serious when she needs to be, like Amber Ruffin. Now that I think about it, the Patrick Star Show is like if Seth Meyers and Wally Ferriston's roles were reversed in Late Night with Seth Meyers.
I'm just spitballing here, but maybe low gas prices had something to do with the fact that we were all trapped in our homes and no one was going anywhere. Price goes down when demand goes down. That's why you can get a DVD player for like $11 now, or a Walmart card for free. Not now!
I'm sure Seth Meyers made sure to get one of those $11 DVD players because I think it's really nice that Seth Meyers and Quinta Brunson still believe in the old-fashioned yet reliable audience of traditionally broadcast network television and cable network television as well. Yes, basic cable included. It's always a welcome surprise when a streaming service actually sells physical DVD copies of any movie or TV show on their streaming service. Like that's why Sony sells DVDs of its Netflix films, The Mitchells versus the Machines and Bevo. Half a decade after the Emoji Movie, they know much better now than to they don't want their movies to be exclusive to streaming, and we should get to buy and own non-digital copies of that media they are selling to us, right? I mean, at least Netflix and Hulu and Disney Plus, which sells Turning Red, and it sells Turning Red DVDs, and Hulu, at least Netflix, Hulu, and even Disney Plus are, they're smart enough to, they're nice enough to their original streaming content that they will sell physical DVD copies of them and not delete them when the going gets tough. Unlike HBOmax, you know how many years Ian Jones-Corey and Olin Rogers spent on making OKKL3 Heroes and Final Space for Cartoon Network and TBS, only to have it get promptly deleted and written off from the HBOmax streaming platform, just because they were that desperate to get out of debt and didn't know any better. And David Zaslav and Warner Bros. Discovery shareholders didn't know any better business moves. Ugh. And if Ian Jones-Corey and Olin Rogers and Owen Dennis and Julia Pott are really adamant and intent on saving the existence of their Cartoon Network or TBS cartoons that were screwed over by HBO then they need to be heroes and go and travel to the far reaches of the depths of Final Space for the proof that HBO committed tax fraud by writing off the animated shows for which they deserve residuals. Because if you can't afford to pay the residuals, as well as for the people who made them, as well as the tax dollars spent on that, you have to pay from your own profits, from your own gross income streaming service revenue, then you never should have made that show at all. And you shouldn't even be trying, even if you have the power to do so, you shouldn't try to get away with breaching the contract of the previous merger, just because Warner Brothers Discovery should not have the right to breach Warner Brothers AT&T's previous contract with all of the cartoon creators who had their shows or movies unjustly deleted or canceled by HBOmax. Yeah, the Cartoon Network's animators, Cartoon Network studio animators really need to get Warner Brothers Discovery with a big fat. They really need to file a big fat lawsuit against Warner Brothers Discovery for this, for pretending their animated content ever existed, because Owen Dennis and Owen Rogers deserve much better than to have their TV shows of Final Space and Infinity Train deleted from HBOmax, deleted from Cartoon Network's YouTube and all other social media, and even for physical copies of DVDs of those shows that were being sold for the first 2 seasons getting discontinued altogether. Writing a show off when it's 4 years too late to stop it from premiering, like they did with Batgirl and Scoob. 4 years too late compared to those 2 other canceled HBOmax projects. Treating animators and their animated shows like a worthless tax income write-off is just not right. It makes you very untrustworthy. This is why we can't rely on streaming services for everything, and why HBOmax and the animators at Cartoon Network Studios and Warner Brothers Animation, which make rings in hand for Netflix, they need better deals and rewards for their work, because HBOmax and Warner Brothers Discovery made the biggest mistake of its life with this hostile takeover and disregarding all that animation has done for the entertainment industry during the lockdown of the pandemic, except in Fairly Otter, that is. The lawsuit I just mentioned, Warner Brothers and Cartoon Network should file, will help Discovery will force Warner Brothers Discovery to pay them the residuals they deserve, and they should continue selling Final Space and Infinity Train DVDs that we all like to buy. Come on, for crying out loud, Final Space and Infinity Train were very profitable back in their day, and now you just want to give up on it because not enough people watched it because not enough people watched them compared to Rick and Morty or Steven Universe, Regular Creek.
I am telling you, he paid his taxes. He made me watch.
So then you add up your deductibles, and oop, guess what, Ann? You're a deductible.
Kill me.
Every show you produce deserves a chance to make money, and if jobs in cartoons only exist to only exist for tax breaks and such, then those jobs are doomed to not exist for very long, because nobody's going to trust HBOmax. Because nobody's going to trust HBOmax or any media conglomerate with a streaming service if their job making a cartoon literally accomplishes nothing, because HBOmax and Warner Bros. Discovery suddenly pussied out at the last minute and decided they didn't want to risk losing too much money or not making enough back as much as they wanted to. Cartoon Network and Warner Brothers animators need to sue Warner Brothers. Need to slap Warner Brothers Discovery with the biggest animation lawsuit of all time, because if they don't do this, it sets a very dangerous precedent for how easy it is for any original movies, original series, for any streaming original movie or streaming original series to become lost media just because that streaming service didn't have enough faith in how profitable it could be. Nobody's going to take a job in animation that offers no reward to them because their shows just existed because their shows turned out to exist only as a tax write-off and nothing else. I mean, Warner Bros. Discovery got in big trouble for already with its shareholders for lying about how many subscribers they could have to start this merger in the first place. So yeah, I have a very good feeling that Cartoon Network and Warner Brothers Animators, who got their content deleted from HBO Max, are going to hit them with the next big lawsuit. Streaming services used to have a big audience used to have a bigger audience than regular live broadcast network and cable TV, because they had new, innovative, daring shows to gain new audiences with different formats that were easier to binge. Watch, and sometimes they even really tested the limits of, streaming services could even have the advantage of like gaining a big audience for mature R-rated content that wasn't enough that you couldn't see on a regular broadcast television network or cable television network. Or streaming services are great, like Netflix are great for people who want to see mature content, but also want a bigger variety of content throughout the age ratings. And like they want to see, because they might want to see, because they might also want to look for the kids section of HBOmax or Netflix for something their kids can watch. Am I correct about that? Yeah. Yeah, it's a great, streaming services like Netflix are great for like mature audience shows to people who would rather pay for a streaming service than a premium cable network like HBO. Not all cartoons need to be a simple episodic kids show or a late night comedy for adults. Some animated television shows for kids have done a very good job of walking the line between appealing to kids and appealing to adults, like Infinity Train, unless Warner Brothers Discovery forbids me from talking about that show right now. Nah, it'll be fine. Yeah, Infinity Train was, even though it always had a hard time, even though it always had a difficult time finding audience, even before this HBO Max merge and Warner Bros. Discovery merger, it was very good at covering some mature themes like divorced parents that appeal to both kids and adults alike. Of course, Crunchyroll's High Guardian Spice also proved that some television shows get the wrong idea and go the other way by making a TV show that appears and acts kid-friendly 98% of the time, but then it has a lot of adult content and dirty jokes you would expect to hear from animated television shows for adults on Fox, Adult Swim, or Comedy Central. And as a result, having shoehorning in adult content, that would the other 2% of the time that would obviously be far too inappropriate for any kid show to have, because it's not even good at being subtle adult humor. Just the comedy is just seeing kids do things that are inappropriate for them to watch and are out of place for the TV show they're in.
Oh, and by the way, you draw swords like dongs.
Hey!
Candy, what's the damage?
Your approval rating started at 0. Now it's a number lower than 0.
You're memeing fast, and none of them are good.